Hello everyone. So today what I want to do is I want to talk about making a video in the Unreal Engine. So this is going to be a little bit of a process, but it's kind of fun and the effect is really cool. So let's get started. First, we need a video file. So on my desktop here, I've got this file, which I'm going to go ahead and download. And then I'm going to actually go to the folder where my design is for Unreal Engine. So I'm going to go to my Unreal Engine folder, which is right here, Polychroma, PK Unreal Engine. And then under here, I have the content folder. So Unreal Engine into there, and then you see the content folder. You've got to actually go into this folder, create a new folder, just new one, and title it Movies. And then in that folder, you're going to place your video files. So I'm actually going to create a new folder in here too. New folder. And I'm going to title it by the artist's project here. And then I'm just going to put all the assets in one folder. So now I'm going to create a new one for this next one. And I think it's 154. 2D, 3D, underscore 154. Let me double check that on my list here. Yeah, 154. And we're going to go ahead and put that in here. So go back to our last folder where we just were. Copy, now that it's downloaded, and go back into our movies folder and paste it right in there. Okay, so there you go. And this is a very small file as far as a movie file goes. Again, optimizing things, it's only about 16 megabytes. So pretty small. I might even have to edit it later. And it's going to go right here. So first things first is we go to our Rhino and we make a movie screen. What size screen are we using on this one? It is 28 by 49. So it's going to go on the opposite wall right here between these two. So I'm going to do a C-plane and then set it to O for object and click on plane, draw a rectangle, and that rectangle is going to be 28.5 inches. 28.5 inches. Enter by 49.1. Oops. 28.5. Okay. And I'm just going to rotate it. Oops. And we're just going to make a quick monitor out of it, move it to the center portion on my center line at 60 inches. And we can see we might even need to move these pieces over a little bit later. That's the fun part. But we're going to get it all in there and then we'll fix that later. But let's go ahead and take this curve, extrude the curve 1.5 inches, delete the backing, and then, oh, actually we don't want to delete that. We're going to offset that, just offset, and we're going to do 0.5. We'll do really kind of small bezels on this, 0.5 inches in. Then let's find it. Curve, nope. Okay. And we'll just extrude this out, whatever distance you want. Bring back the other box I hid, And I'm going to move this out a little bit, probably about 1 inch. Oops. 1 inch. Okay, and then Boolean difference. Keep this, get rid of this. Keep that, get rid of that. There we go. And that gives us kind of a video monitor. And again, we create a new one, 2D, 3D, underscore, new layer, 154, MB. And then I'm going to duplicate this layer. And I'm going to title this one MB screen. Okay, then we're going to extract the surface. So extract surface, click on that, enter, change object layer with it selected, and we'll color code it just to make sure we know what we're doing. Okay, and then we also need to change this one. To this one. Select those two objects. And we're going to go ahead and use our macro for naming. And then export selected with origin. And select the origin right there. Title it as an OBJ. 154. Okay, and we'll save it. Oops, I don't have the my C-plane. I have to return it to a top view, so that's not going to work. C-plane, command, world, W for world, top. Okay, then let's export selected with origin. Select these objects first. File. Export selected with origin. Click on my origin point that I've been using and save over the existing one with the proper grid orientation so that when we import it to Blender to UV map it, it'll work. Okay, so now we go File, Import, OBJ, grab the OBJ, not the material file, and import. There it is. Okay, now we need to UV unwrap it. So we will select this object, tab over under UV editing here, and we'll go A, unwrap. And then I'm actually going to rotate this so that it is going horizontal. So I can just click on it if I have this selected, and then hit R for rotate and go -90, enter. And I know it's -90 because I've already done one of these and it wasn't quite right. So I want to make sure that it's right this time. Okay, this is the key one. You don't really even need to do anything as far as mess with that back one except for unwrap it as well. So we'll go to object, select it, tab over, A, make sure it's all selected, UV, Smart UV project, or you can even just UV unwrap it like that. Okay, so now we've got both of these unwrapped, and we can export this file, export as an FBX file, and title it Okay, all of these settings, selected objects, mesh, got it all looking good, and then we export the FBX. And now we go into our Unreal Engine and we import our file. So we go to our movies folder here, and 154 is right here. This is what we've got. We're going to go to right click right here, and then we go to media, file media source, and again name it Okay, open it up. And then we go to this file path here, go into here, click on our object that we're going to use, open it right on up. And save. File media source is good. Now we right click and we go to media player. Click on this and say OK. Title it. Always keeping things organized. MP for media player. And it creates this texture here. Okay. Now we also want to bring in our object. So I'm just going to click and drag and drop it from our FBX folder, which I know is right here. And I'm just going to put it right in the same folder. Close this down. I must have missed, didn't get both of them. Okay, let's go back to Blender here. Click and shift click. I was in the wrong mode. File, export, FBX, replace, export, minimize, open our folder, and drop it back in. This time should be 2 pieces. We've got our screen and we've got our object. So we put them both, click them, drag them into the space, and I always just match up. I've got my location coordinates here. So in order to add a new one, I'm just going to use those same location coordinates, 1605, 50, 1069. So let's find these 2 objects, select them in here, and then we'll just do the same coordinates, and it pops onto the wall. Okay. So the black is fine, the red I don't need, but I'm going to go ahead and take this and click and drag and drop it onto that. And that will make a movie texture. So if I double click here, you'll see linked right there is our movie. And that should be set to go. Okay, next thing we do is we need to make a trigger for it so that we step on it and the movie starts playing. And that's pretty easy to do. We do that by going to search up here, trigger, box trigger, put it right here, and we'll lift it up, rotate around it a little bit, pull this out, hit spacebar to change it to scale a couple of times, and place it. You don't want it to interrupt too much with other objects because it does play a sound, and that's kind of the sweet spot you got to find. Okay. So now we've got to make that trigger box do something. So we click on it, and then we go to our blueprint settings, open level blueprint, and we got to do all this junk for it. Okay, but first thing we want to do is make a variable. So add new variable, and we'll call this variable 2D 3D underscore 154 underscore MB. And then with it clicked, we're going to go over here and search at the top for media. Right here, sorry. Click on that Boolean and then go media and go media player or file media player open object reference. Sorry, there we go. Object reference. So that's where it is. Just search media. And it should be media player, hover on it, and then object reference. There you go. Compile it. Once you compile it, you get this, and we can find our media player, which is 154. And that's the one we're going to use to reference here. So now we go to right click add event for trigger box, and then we're going to go to collision, add on actor begin overlap, and then we're going to pull all this stuff out and just basically do the same thing here. Pull this one out, go sequence. First, we grab add media sound component. Boom. Okay, that'll make sure that the sound starts playing. And then we pull this out. We go set media player. Boom. Return value gets plugged into the self target. And then we click and drag our media player over here. Go to get 154 MB. And then that goes into the new media player. Boom. And it also goes to the open source. So click and drag out from here and go open source. And then we click on the asset and we find our media player. Okay. And so that is going to make the media player play when you overlap. Next is the easy one of add event for trigger box 2, collision, add on actor end overlap. And then we're going to pull in our media player again, get, and then we're going to go pull from here, close. And then we attach this one. So that order is important too. Okay, so I'm going to select this whole thing, right click, and go to, where's comment? There we go. And that way I can call it something like media player 154. So that's going to keep it organized. It's also easy to move it around all at once when you do that. So let's add comment. Okay, and then I'm going to compile it and let's see how it works. So play, walk in, open the doors. And nothing is happening. Did I not compile it? No, I did. Let's see. Oh, I think I'm missing something here. Yeah, okay, yeah, then. Yeah, it's not connected. So there you go. Boom. Make sure that this is connected too. Okay, compile. That should work. All right. And it works. So that is how you make a media player. The last thing I want to show is actually how to get rid of this little crosshair right here. This is kind of a simple thing that I should have talked about probably when I was removing arms and stuff from our objects, but this little crosshair is located, if I go escape, content, to our first person blueprint. And I believe it's under first person HUD right here. We don't need that HUD. So if I go over to my world settings, which if you don't have world settings window turned on, world settings right here under window, and then you want to find the HUD class and go to none. And then if I play, you see no crosshairs. Okay, so that's the last thing that I wanted to do. But you get the idea with the media player. Hopefully that's going to be something fun you can play around with and get it to work the way you want. And yeah, that's the media player.